but the state is not really, at this point, expanding any of the schools, the enrollment, so not at this time.
Not to put, because it would be put on the teachers. Would the building be able to even do that?
Well, if we,
I wouldn't want to push it if it's
if it was,
not-
if we're talking like expanding it to grade 8, we would have to have less classrooms of each. Like right now, we have 4 of every grade level, except pre-K, we have 5.
So we're where we want to be.
Yes, yes,
Let's put it that way, right?
absolutely.
And that really makes me happy about seeing the 30%. Because I know when we go under that at some of the other magnets, and we can't backfill it with Waterbury kids, it drives me crazy. So to be right at the numbers of what we're supposed to be to 70-30, and the number we're supposed to have in the school, that's great to hear.
Right, yeah, we're very excited. We don't want to lose any funding.
No, 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 no. I didn't even go there. No, I was glad the numbers were adding up, and it's where you want to be.
Yes.
And of course, it's really all about the teachers. So you really should have them stand up so
I
we can
was,
recognize them.
if you don't have any more questions for me.
No, I want to see them stand up.
All right.
Thank you.
Stand.
Does anybody else?
I also have, my building sub is here. Dedicated.
But I do believe your custodian is on his honeymoon.
Oh, yes.
I happen to know.
Yes, he is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any more questions? Since Tom took over for me. Love him.
It's okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Van Stone, can you get the sign-in sheet for Ms. Swain? Thank you.
Okay.
So we, so we have no public speaking. Secretary Serrano Adorno.
I move to add to the agenda item number 4A, data privacy agreement with Hill for Literacy, Inc. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 1, Committee of the Whole. Mr. Nardozzi and Ron Casellas. This is to request approval of a project authorization letter, PAL, to allow WDC to manage, administer the Wilby High School football field renovations project.
Yes, it is for the design and also construction.
Does anybody have any questions? Commissioner
It's
Lopez.
minor, it's minor. I saw some misspelling in the verbiage. High school in particular was misspelled. Will that be fixed so you don't have to come back and do any kind of amendments or anything? Yeah, okay. That's all.
Thank you.
Can you explain the
I could explain the project, yes. So what we're trying to do here is approximately around 2 acres of property that we want to redo the football field. Right now, it's in an area where we have a lot of water concerns, and we want to be able to use that field. So what we want to do is we want to do a site improvement, do some regrading, site utility work, storm drainage, and do some landscaping, maybe some new bleachers and lighting. So we would hire a civil architect to come in and give us a design. We would put out an RFP, and then after the RFP, we would go out for construction bids to build the project. So our main concern is to get the field so it's operable. You know, whether it rains a couple of days, you don't have any problems that the children can't use the fields. So our main concern is to get the fields back operational, so it's usable and upgraded. It's been a while since the field has been upgraded, and that's be phase one for what we have for the budget.
Commissioner Orso.
Hi, Ron. Is this going to be a grass field or artificial turf?
Well, I'm going to have an alternate for grass or turf to see how the numbers come in.
Okay.
So I would love to have a turf field. But our main thing is, Rocco, is to have all the under drainage work so that the field can properly be used. That's our main concern.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Hi. Am I correct in the reading of the proposal that this is being paid for through a grant?
Yes, DEDP, DEEP, yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President, through you. It hasn't been that long because that field was redone while I was sitting on this board, so it's been done in the last 10 or 12 years. But I know we had issues maintaining it, which I came to be surprised that certain fertilizers that you do need are not allowed on school properties. So I would second what Commissioner Horso said about considering the turf field. I know it will cost us more up front, but I think it should be considered because we definitely did quite a bit of work down at the Willoughby football field. I'm going to say 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But it looks awful. I've seen it. It really didn't hold up, whatever it is we did. I thought we worked on drainage. You may want to go back and check.
Well, yes, the importance of this drainage is, and I want to try to maybe change the grades a little bit, but my number one was for the turf, so low maintenance. So that's one of our top priorities. To
We
make
did
sure.
not do bleachers the last time,
We're
and I
gonna
remember
try-
that was a mistake.
Yeah, we're trying to put in the bleachers, and any extra money, we're going to have alternates for like a scoreboard, bleachers. So if there's extra amenities, we will do that. So we're going to have a list of things that we can pick and choose, considering what the budget we have.
We have good facilities in the city. Willoughby deserves to have a good facility.
Yeah.
The team deserves it. Probably, however we configure it, hopefully you could also play soccer, because down the hill, that soccer field down the hill, one you almost can't get to it.
Correct.
So it'd be nice if that's a multi-purpose and soccer could be played there as well. So if you can consider that when you look at it.
That's one of our choices also,
Good.
because we'd like to have more than just one thing playing in the field.
Have you considered having someone from this board, we do have, I'm not on it, but we do have a building committee,
Yes.
and I think they should be involved, and it should definitely be a consideration, so that liaison to you guys could come back and let us know what's going on.
We would like the committees, as we're going into design phase for conceptual, schematic design, design develop, so you know all the times we're doing what's happening in the phases. So we'd like to be very transparent with this. So everything that we draw on paper and show, we could always be a part of it. So we don't want to make decisions after, then when you look at it. So we want you there for early on.
If we look at you guys like a contractor in this case,
Yep.
we always have input with the contractors.
Yep.
And we're told as things are developed, what's going on. So I would expect that here too.
Absolutely. We like that very much so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2, request approval to participate in the repeat study, Understanding How Children Learn to Read, Jan and crew.
Good evening, President Hernandez, Vice President Brown, Secretary Serrano Adorno, Commissioners, and Superintendent Dr. Schwartz. Tonight we have with us Yale Professor Dr. Kenneth Pugh and Shamar Barton from the Yale Child Study Center. They would like to partner with Waterbury Public Schools and UConn Waterbury on a research study to gather data on understanding how children learn to read. They're here this evening to provide the board with some details about the study. Dr. Pugh will start with a brief overview of who they are and what it is they do.
Thank you so much, and thank you for considering this. I am part of something called the Haskins Global Literacy Hub, which is a joint connection between the School of Medicine, the Child Study Center at Yale University, where I'm also on faculty, and the University of Connecticut, where I'm also on faculty. And it is being currently housed at University of Connecticut, Waterbury. And my colleague, Dr. Fumiko Haft, who couldn't be here tonight, who is the dean of UConn Waterbury, has been instrumental in getting all of this research on how kids learn to read. And I'll just tell you a couple of things, and then I'd like Shamar to present our study. But Fumiko has been very much working with the community to try to bring educators and researchers together to learn from one another and to cooperate. So the Global Literacy Hub involves people from many fields, ranging from neuroscience to education, linguistics and psychology, et cetera. The work that we do, that I do, is funded exclusively by the National Institutes of Health. These are research grants. And we study how children acquire reading. We begin the question at a very young age because it really all starts in preschool, as you guys know, even better than I. And then we study using two kinds of tools, cognitive testing, which are very helpful, and certain kinds of non-invasive, totally safe brain measures like EEGs and NIRS-CAPs, which Shamar can show you some of our quick slides. But the reason we use those two measures, and the reason why we bring brain measures to studying how children learn, is because the brain measures are extremely sensitive to individual differences, to the differences between one child and another, and they help us to understand diversity in children. What we address are three broad questions in this program with the hub at Waterbury. One, how do children acquire reading? Two, why do some children struggle? And three, the $64,000 question, how can we use science to improve treatment? And so we work closely with the schools in partnership in order to, and we bring our research in so that we're working with the teachers and with the students to promote science learning and science education. But at the core of all of it, we are basically trying to help kids to avoid the difficulties through life that I've been studying for 30 years if literacy does not get taken care of very early on. So I'm here tonight particularly to answer any questions about why we do what we do and et cetera. My young colleague, Shamar Barton, grew up in Waterbury, went to school here, did his bachelor's at University of Connecticut, has been working with me as a grant coordinator, project coordinator for the last few years, and soon will be going to grad school. And he's working very closely with the schools, and he just has a few slides, if they come up, to show you the details of the study so that we can answer any questions. Shamar?
Shamar, the board has the information in their packets, and we're going to put it up in a moment, but you can speak. Do you have the packet of the slides?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, great. And the board has in their packet, but we'll get it up in a moment.
I could start and then catch myself up later on. And let me know if I'm speaking too low. I've been told I have a very low voice, so.
Speak up.
So, as Ken said, the study that we are proposing is called the REPEAT study. The REPEAT study stands for Reading Patterns Explored Across Tasks. Pretty much, I got the slides right here as well. So, why our study matters. So, reading and executive function skills are core to academic success. The REPEAT study explores how these skills develop in the brain, and findings will help educators and clinicians tailor instruction and interventions. How we go about study learning, reading in the brain, we use pretty much 3 steps in our study. The first step will be reading assessments. So children will meet with us for an average about 3 to 4 sessions online. Each session is about 1 hour. They vary based on the participation of the child. As we know, they got very short attention spans, so sometimes it might go along a little bit longer than usual, but usually the average is about 3 to 4 sessions. They are scheduled based on the family's availability, so like they can schedule it as quickly as in like the first week, or if they want to prolong it over months, it's up to them. We will just keep reaching out to them until they complete the study. The next step of our study would be, oh, there it goes. But the next step of our study would be through FNIRS. So NIRS stands for Functional Near Infrared Spectroscopy. Sorry, hard word to say. This cap is a light cap, pretty much. So it shines a little flashlight onto the scalp of the child. It doesn't hurt. It's not hot at all. It's a combination with EEG. This cap is able to show the blood flow in the brain as kids are thinking or doing certain tasks. We can see how one part of the brain starts to activate more when kids are focusing on one particular task. We're focused more so on the motor region of the brain, so like when they're, reading region of the brain. And so we're hoping to see, like when a child is engaging in reading, there's a focus of blood flow going towards that region. It's, like I said, in combination with EEG, and EEG is pretty much looking at the electrical activity inside of the brain. So we're pretty much trying to get like a nice visual area. The last portion of the study would be an fMRI. This portion is voluntary. We would just like to use it to pretty much correlate it with what we find with the FNIRS. But the fMRI is completely safe. It's for those who don't know, it's a big magnet, pretty much. There's no radiation. We have children very young going to the scanner all the time. And what we will usually do is do a mock scan before they even enter the scan. So the child will get a little practice run, see how comfortable they are with it. If they present well, we'll introduce them to the real scanner, get a scan done. And at any point during this study, even if they're inside the scan week, if they decide, you know what, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, we'll end the study right there for them. So usually, and that's for any portion, from the beginning to the end, we need to get the child's consent all the way through and assurance. And so whenever they want to say, I'm done with the study, they're free to go. So we're usually recruiting between the ages of about, I say 8 to 13. We have permission to go from 7 to 15. It's a voluntary participation, as we said, so like the child has full control in the situation for how far they need to go. They are paid quite well for this study. They don't have to pay anything to be a part of this study. They are paid about a $25 an hour rate for all basic reading tests and for the FNIRS tests, and they get a solid rate of $50 for the scan when they if they decide to take the fMRI portion as well. I think that's it for that slide. So how do we ensure safety and privacy? This is a IRB approved study by Yale. We we make sure we code and identify all data that comes with the child. So like even when it comes to the fMRI pictures, we take off the portion of their face that you can see during the scan, so like you could just see the brain if anything. It's stored in a secure server that only Yale approved people have access to. All people that will work with the children are background checked thoroughly, and they need to be a part of our IRB to even getting any kind of access to any kind of data related to any children or families. Family data is also stored in a secure server as well. So for the last portion, partnering with Waterbury schools, we seek to strengthen literacy and STEM partnerships in this community, give back through outreach, build bridges between families, schools, and university researchers, and continue safe recruitment and family outreach, and share group-level results and educational insights. As Ken said, I did grow up in the Waterbury school systems. I went to Bunker Hill, to Westside, to JFK, to finally graduating, then go on to UConn. I think very fondly of the school system. It did raise me and get me to the position that I am here today. So I would like to use Ken's resources to greatly amplify what Waterbury projects need to be worked on and help students achieve greater heights than even I have reached currently in my position.
So perhaps can I just add one more thing before we take questions? So again, on behalf of Dr. Haft at UConn Waterbury, there are a number of projects and partnerships and professional development on research, current research for educators, and we're very interested, as Shamar said, in giving back to the community and working as partners. This is an example of an NIH study. Everything's safe and approved, and it's really interesting and useful. I can tell you this. We learn a lot. But we really are about working closely with the community and learning from the needs of the students and the faculty. And Fumiko and I are here at all times on behalf of UConn Waterbury, Yale, and Storrs to answer any questions and to be here to give more information. So I did want to share that, and that was terrific, Shamar, in terms of the details of our study. Thank you. So can we answer some questions if you have?
Secretary Serrano Adorno.
Thank you, Madam President. Great presentation overall. I'm reading your goal here is to understand how the brain supports learning to design better educational and clinical interventions. Is this study going to be open to, for example, bilingual students, English language learners, or special ed students? Everybody has different reading abilities, so I'm curious to see if it's open to those families, what the study would be, you know.
Yeah, so the work that we're doing, which is again to understand how kids learn, what kinds of things can go wrong, and how we can design better learning opportunities that are consistent with the way they learn, with the way the brain learns. And we take a very special focus in my lab and all of these NIH projects on kids who are neurodiverse. So there's a real focus on kids who are falling behind, not just due to limited opportunity, but also to the challenges. These kids are often extremely bright and fascinating kids, but they struggle in the literacy domain. And so we're very much focused there. And on the question of ESL learners, one of my PhD students is beginning to develop a set of measures that will extend this to look at English language learners, because as you, I'm sure know, in the school district, any school district, you're adding a whole lot of complexity to the process of becoming literate if we don't pay attention to home language, to vocabulary, and all of the other things that actually start, birth to 5. So we also do work on that at Haskins. But we're very much focused on that. The second language population would not be starting right now, but most likely by next fall.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Sorry for the long answer.
No, great answer. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Commissioner Arlen. Go ahead.
LaToya Arlen. Thank you, Madam President. Just a quick question. How many other schools have you partnered with so far, and how have the outcomes been, or the results?
So again, I do want to be clear. We're not assessing schools, and we're not looking at outcomes in schools. We're focused on individual children, and we are trying to understand diversity and how to use this kind of brain and cognitive information to improve how we teach the child. So we work with a lot of schools. We've had very good experience with a number of schools where we've recruited, partnered with the teachers so that our team can come and do professional PD so that we can explain the latest research on, on brain imaging and education. In the first 5 years, we worked with East Hartford schools, we worked with Windsor and a bunch of other places. We also are collecting data in several LD schools, including the AIM Academy in Philadelphia. Shamar and his crew were down there in the spring with Southport School, with the Windward School, but we're very much interested in being in public schools because we want to understand the full range of challenges that children face that some of those schools are a little bit less likely to face. So we broadly recruit. Again, we're not focused on the school as the unit, but we're focused on the child. But we've had good partnerships and a long history, actually a very long history at Haskins of working in Connecticut.
Thank you.
I hope that answers.
Yes.
Vice President Brown.
Yes, good evening.
Hi.
This sounds very exciting. I'm very familiar with Haskins. Margie Gillis, is she still
Oh, yeah.
working?
Yeah.
Is she still there?
We always, she's busy with her amazing work in Waterbury and many other
I
places.
mean, she started work at Sprague School many years ago.
She's the best,
Yeah.
and we make sure she's still listed as one of our key people.
Yes, she's amazing, and the whole idea of the science of reading. And I remember her up at the state capitol really helping the legislators to understand. She was amazing.
Exactly.
But my question is, in terms of, you know, as you said, birth to 5, you know, we know that, you know, oral language and synapses and how the brain develops. Right. And we know that kids, you know, from birth, I mean, just the communication, talking to a child, singing to a child, just that whole interaction with the environment and the adults in their life is a critical part of language development.
Indeed.
So I'm just wondering, you know, how that fits in terms of when you assess somebody where they are, is there a way to kind of say, okay, how have they developed thus far? What has been the environment, you know, in terms of language development?
Exactly. So 2 things. This particular study that Shamar shared, 7 to 13, we just get extensive histories, you know, parents, teacher, clinical reports, so that we know a little bit about the challenges. But we have other grants, other research that starts really young.
Okay.
And we're kind of like sort of filling in the gaps. So we do work on babies and EEGs and how they acquire language and what are the risk factors in the environment or in their experience. But then this study begins a little bit older, and it's looking at kids who've already been through reading, most of whom are struggling, and it tries to understand the brain connections and the cognitive mechanisms on how we can reach them. So it's a little bit focused,
Good.
but we never separate them. So our model of reading starts at birth.
Okay.
We always say, annoyingly, and Margie says too, good reading starts at birth.
Yes.
Not literally, but in terms of language. I also do a lot of work on the transition from preschool to school and some of the oral language abilities that need to be in place. I'm sorry, guys, I'm a total nerd. So don't let me go too far
That's okay.
into this.
I just want to make sure that we understand
Yeah,
that,
and
you know,
definitely.
there's a continuity here, and you don't wake up and you're 5 years old or 7 years
No,
old.
we take a birth to 10 perspective. The other thing in our Global Literacy Hub, which is now housed at Waterbury and at the Child Study Center,
Oh.
the Global Literacy Hub has research in many countries. Right now, we just finished a massive study in schools in Argentina, Brazil. We're about to begin a collaboration in India. And the reason we focus on that is to understand language diversity, always from the point of view of preschool and up, because as you rightly say, it starts there. So we have a lot of things. And one thing I would share is we love to share all of that with professionals.
Look forward to it.
Including the global work. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Hi. Very interesting report. I have a 2-part question. One is, approximately how many of our students are you hoping will join in this research?
So in this particular study, we're researchers, so as many as we can convince to join, to be honest with you. But we would anticipate, because we're recruiting in different areas, we're also starting data collection in New York City at the Child Mind Institute that are collaborating. I would imagine that we would seek somewhere around 50 kids a year if that is, you know, if that works. Again, we work closely with the school. My colleague Nicole Landy, who's also part of this enterprise, is actually bringing the EEG into the schools and allowing students and teachers to work with them on the project. That's part of the value, we think, in education. But basically, we're looking to get as many kids as we can.
And my second question
Yeah, of
is,
course.
because you're starting like age 7 to 13,
Yeah.
does your study take into consideration with the history that you gather regarding children that have experienced at a young age toxic stress?
Yes. So we are able to measure that imperfectly because we didn't see them back then. But we have these other projects at Yale and UConn Haskins that are focused on very young babies, toddlers. And we're like interchangeable parts, the research community. We all work together on each other's projects. Those are really difficult and important questions that we take on. We try to get a measure of it, and I will tell you one last thing. I know I need to shut up soon, but that what I do want to tell you is that in my study, in this one with 7 to 13-year-olds, Shamar and I are doing, we have a disproportionate number of kids who are struggling with anxiety who learn differently, and you know this. And one of the things that I'm focused on in this brain research is whether we can mitigate the anxiety in order to improve the learning outcome. And so we pay a lot of attention to stress. I'm beginning some work with our colleagues in New York on mindfulness as a potential tool. Our focus is not on just being less stressful, but whether that benefits reading and learning of that sort. So we're focused on those things. Be happy to share all of that information as well.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Last but not least, Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President, through you. Could you tell me what IRB approved means, or who it is? It has an acronym, but didn't have a follow-up.
It's an acronym. Do you want to tell them, or should I? Okay.
So it's Institutional Review Board, and it's essentially human subjects protection. So when we do a study, and we get funded by the National Institutes of Health or the National Science Foundation, we go to the IRB panel, the Institutional Review Board, and they rake us over the coals to make sure everything is, as Shamar so nicely said, de-identified, safe. There's all systems in place to make sure there are no risks, or that risks are minimal in any study. And we have to follow those rules that then the university imposes on the study to the T. And so there's a lot of issues with brain, as Shamar said, with can we identify people, can this be misused? I even do some work with genetics, not this study. And that also brings up, risk. So the IRB is our way of showing that we are meeting the highest standards. And I'll be honest, the Yale version, the Yale medical version, is really tough for researchers, which is great for the world because it's very strict in terms of protecting the child. So that's all it is. It's just essentially the human subjects protection is the technical jargon.
They rake you over the coals, but you haven't met me.
I can tell just by your earlier comments about the football field. But yes, they do rake us over the coals, but I will tell you, I'm prepared. We can hang and talk.
We'll see.
But what I was going to say is that these things look a little scary. They're really harmless.
Okay.
And I'll tell you about
You kind of already caught where I'm going a little bit. Now, this is, it's a study. So
This is a study, yeah.
basically, our students are subjects.
Mhm.
And there was questions about what you have so far. Now, if it's a study, you must have a goal of how many subjects you need.
Yes, of course.
And it doesn't seem like you're answering the questions about how many you already have.
Oh.
And you're asking us for up to 50 students.
Sure.
But I really haven't heard a real answer about how many you already have.
I'm sorry, I'm not hiding anything from you. So right now, we have how many children in the cohort? I think it's 75 that have been recruited into this study from all over, including at New Haven, at our lab where they come in, at stores, and now at Waterbury, that are not recruited through the Waterbury School District, but other partnerships, or even by advertisements. We are looking to run over 250 in the next 3 years. We are also recruiting in New York City, and we're recruiting elsewhere because we have this bring the equipment in model. So my goal for Waterbury, I was being a little bit, I didn't mean to be deceptive. I meant to be cute. We are get as many as we can because we need to get to 250, but it won't be through Waterbury. We have a very good track record. And this study is fairly new, so I can't tell you what it brings. That's why we do the science. But I have 25 years of studies like this that led to this particular hypothesis and test that I can share what we've learned about.
But when
the
you
brain.
went before this IRB, you must have had to tell them how many subjects
Yeah,
you
in the
plan to
but
have.
not how many would be in Waterbury.
No, I get you there.
Yeah, of course.
I'm
We-
just
we-
wondering what
we
your
anticipate
because you're not going to get to
250.
a conclusion unless you meet your goal.
Absolutely.
Or
It's-
at least be able to write you could write a conclusion now.
100%,
But,
yeah.
you know, it's not going to meet the expectations of whatever this board must have been expecting of you.
So the board doesn't really, I mean, we shouldn't get too much into the weeds. I'm happy to answer, though.
Oh, I have no problem getting in the
Okay,
weeds.
so what I would say is, the IRB is meant to protect people and make sure we're playing by the most careful standards. The science of how many people should participate was reviewed by the National Institutes of Health, who gave me the grant. So when I submit the grant, I say how many people we need to have enough power to look at something. And we have estimated that to be over 200.
And what is your expectation of the study?
So the expectation of the study is exciting. In the last years, I've answered 3 questions with the research we do. How does the brain develop connections when reading goes well? And we've done quite a bit on that. Second, how does the brain differ when reading doesn't go so well in terms of those cognitive and brain connections? We've done fairly well. The third $64,000 question, knowing about the brain, can we design opportunities to learn, interventions, treatments? I'm funded, this is a treatment study in a way, and we're funded to look at how we can change the brain and therefore change reading. And the idea or the conceit of all of this research is that the brain gives us an exquisite lens on the individual child, and we're trying to teach to the child. So the goal of the study is simple: understand neurodiversity and teach to it. And ultimately, to design studies with these brain caps on that teach to an individual child. And we're moving as quickly as we can, after 30 years of science, to now do the one thing that neural people often say, teach to the brain.
And I'm glad you put it that way, because where I was going next was, are you looking to change the method of teaching, or are you looking to change curriculum? And it sounds like you're looking to change the method of teaching.
Right, so this is not a study aimed at evaluating or promoting either curricula or treatments. I do a lot of research with Cadillac evidence-based treatments and how it affects the brain, things that have been well evidenced at NIH. And we don't really assess which one's best, and we're not in that. There are people who do that research, and it's important. This is really about understanding the child more deeply. Guys, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been able to show that the brain changes, and that's all cool. Now I want to teach to the individual. And so our goal is not about changing schools, changing curriculum, but adding science that better minds than mine, better education minds than mine, will turn into curriculum.
If you had to look at your conclusion, and I'm sure you at least try to start putting it together at some stage,
Sure.
if you're not there already, do you feel you're on track to achieve what you want to achieve out of this study?
Yes. I would never have done this particular study, which is kind of pushing the envelope, unless we had enough data to think we could
My
make it
questions
work.
are sending them all out the door.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
But I have one last,
Please.
now my concern for our students,
absolutely.
and that is your process. When I saw that hat or helmet,
Right,
it concerned me.
sure.
That looked a little frightening for students. So I'm a little worried about our students. I'm worried about our students.
Yeah,
Other boards of education can worry about all your other students in the study. I'm worried about our students. Both that helmet, I'll call it a helmet, and the MRI concern me greatly for our students.
great. I'll answer, I know we must be way over time. So one,
I'm always over time.
oh, good, so am I. Number one, the fMRI is optional. It is safe. It's been deemed safe. It's extremely informative to science, but kids do it or
But
they
you
don't.
need the helmet.
Now, the helmet
the
is not a
MRI is an
helmet,
ac-
it's a cap. But here's the thing, we can bring it here
a
and
helmet.
show it to you. It's a cap. It's soft. But what I want to tell you is kids generally do not find that scary because it's a cap. We show them all kinds of things. We put the cap on, and the kids
I also
simply...
saw the stuffed animal with the similar.
Yeah, we do all kinds of things, but I will tell you that if a child feels the slightest, teensiest little bit, I'm a grandparent, the slightest, teensiest bit of fear, I tell them to go home and have fun. We do not want to scare kids, but most kids do not find an EEG cap to be particularly scary, I must say.
So to be clear, like the cap is like a swim
The
cap.
helmet.
It's very stretchy, like thin material. The little, I can't bring it back up, but like all the electrodes that you see are little light bulbs that click onto the cap. There's no direct contact to the skull or to the head at any point. At most, what we will do is we'll take these little ear picks and go into those holes to like move here, so there's more like direct contact. The light shines in, bounces off, and hits a detector that's also on the cap. And that's pretty much all it is. At most, the kid will feel like weight on their head, and so we have like poles to hold up the cords so it's not too much weight in their head. And usually what we'll get from them is them falling asleep during the study. That's it.
Okay. I got to be honest with you. The only thing I want out of this study is the results, but I'm not so sure, or your conclusion, I should say. Not as much so about having our students do it, so I'm just being honest with you.
Oh, absolutely.
But
No, I
it's a
think your
very
questions
interesting
are-
study,
Yeah.
and I certainly would love to read the conclusion, so thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
So the parents would have to agree to having that study done,
Of course.
correct?
Of course.
So,
Yeah,
okay,
of course.
thank you.
Thank,
Commissioner Lopez,
I'll be quick, I promise.
we have a 7.
I know. I just wanted to say, I was part of a research fellowship and got to learn a lot on how doctors perform these studies, and it's very safe. It's very safe. So I just wanted to say, I know that you're going to be bringing back the research results, that you guys find to teach to bring it to the teachers.
Right.
But I had a question on whether you would do any activities with the children that are not participating in the study to kind of get them into science. That was my question.
You should answer that because what you guys did at UConn Waterbury.
So I am very big on giving back to the community as much as possible. For kids that don't want to participate, I do want to get them, and we do want to get them engaged as much as possible into neuroscience and into STEM activities overall. That is a goal of Dr. Hoft of UConn. She's big on outreach and everything like that. In fact, for Bunker Hill Elementary, because I went there and also because my mom currently works there as a para, I have reached out a couple of times to like do like little demo and STEM demonstrations for them, pretty much like clay models of brains, for them to figure out how the brain works. I brought in like just like real brains, like little sheep brains that are perfectly safe, just to show them, hey, it's cool, it's a brain, it's everything like that. Little activities that, get them engaged in the science of neuroscience, but science overall, I like to do, just to build a good, strong foundation for them when they go eventually into higher levels of, STEM fields, and they get, excited about it because they saw a guy that demonstrated a brain one time, that kind of thing.
And that's beautiful. And just to add one thing, so Dr. Haft, I'm sure many of you know her. She is always thinking about ways, she does that event in Waterbury at the Palace Theater for high school students. She told me to get in the car and be up here today, because she couldn't be here, especially to let people know that this idea about science learning for the community is at the top of her agenda. And of course, she's Dean of UConn Waterbury. So that also, along with Shamar's working with kids and teaching science, which she's been amazing on, that's something that we take very seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Shamar, I was going to ask you to give a shout out to the schools that you went to in Waterbury. Bucks Hill is one. Bunker Hill is one.
Bunker Hill.
My alma mater.
Westside Middle School, and then John F. Kennedy High School as well.
Oh, gee, all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Sorry to keep you guys so long.
Thank you.
Oh, you're fine.
Number 3.
I went to both of those.
That was only number 2.
I know.
And you got a summer learning.
Number 3. Summer learning update.
a science teacher somewhere. We'll recruit him to be a teacher.
I know, all right?
Stop playing around with that research.
All right, good evening. President Hernandez, good evening, Vice President Brown, good evening, Secretary Serrano Adorno, and Board Commissioners, and good evening, Dr. Schwartz. I'm here with our Director of College and Career Readiness, Mrs. Nairi Toussaint, and we're joined this evening, what is that? And we're joined this evening by our summer school program coordinators. We'll begin with Ms. Bridget Gomez, our elementary program administrator, and then to be followed by Ms. Kendra O'Brien, our middle school program coordinator and administrator, and then finally by Ms. Kelly Donahue, who was our program coordinator for our high school summer school programs. All right, so without any further ado, Ms. Gomez.
Good evening. The extended academic support for 2025 summer elementary program aimed to reimagine and reignite students' passion for education through an accelerated approach that focused on providing and implementing SEL, science, ELA, math, and enrichment.
So let's take a look at attendance this year. We had just over 1,100 students register for summer school this year. That in grades K through 4, that was a slight drop in enrollment from last year, where we had just over 1,300 students. As you can see, attendance was solid with at least 70% of students attending regularly.
And this slideshow shows our weekly EAS attendance for Carrington, Gilmartin, Duggan, Reed, and Window Cross. Our largest enrollment was at Reed School with 277 students during the second week of our program. This was also our best attendance week with 906 students who attended during our second week of the EAS program. And here we can see attendance across all grade levels at EAS. Second grade stood out with the largest enrollment with 342 students and had a 77% attendance rate. Our kindergarten group actually matched that with the same attendance rate with 77% also.
I'll also offer the board our attendance rates for our magnet school programs at Maloney and Rotella.
Maloney and Rotella are our grant-funded program, which aligns with our EAS summer program. Each school had 58 students that registered with an average of 92% attendance for both schools.
I'm going to jump ahead real quick because I want to stick with attendance and show you some of the attendance rates for our extended school year programs. We had 4 and 5 day self-contained programs for our ESY students. And I want to share with you some of the program attendance rates for our 4-day program. As you can see, our BDLC students and our pre-K kindergarten programs are definitely well needed and well attended. And here's a quick breakdown of some of the 5-day program attendance rates. All right, but let's talk about some academics. Let me kind of go back a little bit. All right, so every year we try to assess the impact of our summer school programs. Traditionally, we've done this by administering a pre-post test to the students during our summer school session. However, one change we made this summer is that in order to create more instructional time, we've eliminated that pre-post test. Instead, we freed up more instructional time by asking our supervisor for research and assessment, Ms. Tara Battistoni, to run a more sophisticated statistical analysis to give us a little bit, using our district benchmarks to give us a little bit better understanding of how the effectiveness of our summer programs. And so when we look at literacy, I'll just remind the board that we utilize our M-Class and our iReady assessments for literacy and math for our beginning our beginning, middle, and end of school year assessments. Our analysis is basically a means comparison of the end of the year assessment at the end of last school year and the beginning of the year assessment that the kids just took this fall a couple of months ago. And essentially what we're trying to do is just examine the difference of the averages or the means for the students who attended summer school versus those who didn't attend summer school on these two measures. So when we look at literacy, we found that on average or in a whole that the students declined 112 points from end of year to beginning of the year assessment. However, when we drill in and we find that the students that did not attend summer school declined actually more than the students that actually attended summer school. So we also saw a difference in math. On average here, the students declined 6 points from end of year last year to beginning of the school year this year. When we drill in here, we find that students that did not attend summer school declined about 6 points, whereas students that attended summer school declined about 5 points. Now, both of these results, and I'll kind of show you both tables, both of these results for reading and math were statistically significant differences, meaning that there was a positive effect that we're seeing, and it is a real thing, all right? It's not a chance event. This allows us to make the inference that our summer school instruction is effective, and actually in both subject areas. We also could probably generalize and say that, the findings that we see here with this small summer group can be, generalized or upscaled to a larger population. So the way I try to describe it to people is that statistical significance basically means that in a dark room of student achievement, there's a light on. There's a little flashlight in the back of the room. Now, we don't know exactly maybe how bright that light is or how big it is, and that's something for further study, but at least we can tell from the data that we've collected this summer that, there is a light on, there is a positive effect. So needless to say, we're happy with these findings. Last year, when we came before the board with updates, we gave these recommendations. We're happy to say that we actually implemented all those recommendations, but furthermore, we're ecstatic because we think, in particularly in seeing the gains in math or the performance in math, we kind of shied away from leaning on technology and leaned on more hands-on activities, but we're mostly ecstatic about the fact that we had all teachers, we had no vacancies, all of our teachers were certified and certified for our kids this year. So, I showed you extended school year. So what I'll do is just take a quick break and ask if there are any questions about elementary before we move on to middle school.
Are there any questions? Move on.
Good evening. This year, the middle school summer school was focused more on students that were at risk of being retained due to failing 2 or more core academic subjects. The curriculum was designed by the district subject area supervisors, and grading was kept to the district policy of 85% for content knowledge, 15% engagement, and 65 was required to pass each course. I met in May with the middle school principals, and we had 140 total students who were recommended for summer school due to the risk of being retained. 111 of them did register. Now, we did have a parent square set up for all the recommended students. Letters went out from the schools, letters went out from myself. We followed up repeatedly, and we made phone calls to all the parents as well who did not register their students, and we did get a few more students at that point after the phone calls were made. So of the 111 registered total in grades 6 through 8, 108 ended up attending, so 79% of the recommended registered and 97% of the registered attended. Also, the proficiency out of the 6th grade, as you can see up there, 27 students attended in 6th grade, and 100% of them, all 27, achieved proficiency in the required subjects to move on to the next grade. 39% in 7th grade, or 98%, and 40 in 8th grade, or 98%. So overall, 106 of the 108 achieved proficiency in the required subjects, 98%. And daily, we had approximately average about 8 absences, so we had a 93% attendance rate as well. Are there any questions?
I have one.
Okay.
So why do you think that the students did better during the summer than they did in the classroom?
Well, I would like to think my staff was amazing. I had a great staff. I also, the classrooms, we had 3 groups in each grade, so the numbers were a little smaller, so they had, more small group instruction, more individual attention and help, and also we had opportunities for teachers to pull students and, to work with them in the library one-on-one when needed, and so that's why I think they did a lot better, did well in summer school compared to during the school year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, as far as the summer internships, we've seen the city internships repeatedly, so I'm not going to review these numbers again. Nothing has changed, same departments. These are some pictures of our students getting the hands-on experience with the various departments, so in between all the internships. And as far as the student experiences, I'd really like to read one because it stood out to me. It's the student who was in the water department. What student really wants to do an internship in the water department? However, he did. And I just thought it was amazing that he said, those moments, whether sweating it out in construction or revitalizing the reservoir, gave me a real sense of pride and purpose. I walked away from this internship with a deep appreciation for the hard work that keeps our water system running and a ton of practical skills I'll carry forward. I thought that was pretty powerful for a student who had no idea what he was walking into for the water department.
We need it.
Again, we have our health internships at McCall, St. Mary's, and Waterbury Hospital. 28 students participated, shadowing and hands-on experiences. And these are their certificate award days for finishing the program. Then we have our early college high. They had a one-week program at Post University. It was for the incoming early college high students. They had 24 students participate in this one-week program. They participated in enrichment science, math, and business activities taught by program instructors from the district. They also toured the campus to learn about possible majors at Post University. Here we have some pictures of the students where they worked in groups to develop presentations utilizing the Junior Achievement Be Entrepreneurial program. And 2 quotes from students who experienced the program. All right, next we have our high school summer school credit recovery. Mrs. Donahue. Sorry, do you have any questions about internships
Does anybody
or
have-
early college high?
The young person, because I don't know if it was a male or female, at the water department, did he get an internship there?
He's actually a Crosby student, I know.
Oh, Crosby?
Yep,
Okay.
he's, not that it has anything to do with this, but he is very interested in all kinds of extracurriculars. He's been walking around Crosby looking for a debate coach for weeks. He's very motivated.
Just wants to learn as much as he can.
Nice. Thank you.
For our high school summer learning program, we were back at WAMS this year. The biggest difference this year from last year is the number of students. We had significantly less students. Students were charged, I think it was $200 a course, so we did have a lot less students. The positive is all students received the credit for the courses they took. We did a lot of work with interventions with students, with parents. Our hall monitors doubled up as BTs. So we were really in touch with the teachers, the students, and the families to make sure they got those credits. We had 6 seniors that graduated through summer school this year. One of them, I think, was on a video featured through the district. We had 2 sessions, an 8 a.m. and a 10 a.m. We had all sessions staffed. Like middle school, the students definitely had an opportunity in smaller classroom setting to really get the content they may have missed during the school year. This is the courses that were offered, was sheerly based on enrollment, what students enrolled for which courses.
Any questions? Commissioner, Commissioner Orso.
No, I just noticed on the Waterbury Career Academy had 0. Is there a reason why, or?
They all agree.
So they had all their students earn the credits they needed, or they were going to be taking Imagine Learning right now during the school year, which is free, to recover the credit.
Thank you.
Dr. Schwartz.
Yes, I just want to take a moment. I know we're a little over time, but everyone says, go into education, you get the summer off. And not true. The immense amount of work that goes in April, really a lot of the work in March, April, May, and June. And then when the kids come, it's a little easier, actually, believe it or not. But there's a lot of sweat equity that these 5 individuals of the school system put into this summer, among many other people, whether they're on the cabinet or the teaching level, and every teacher that signed up, like Dr. Johnson said, it makes a major difference in students. That summer slip is real, and I can't thank you all enough for the hard work you put in for the summer, and I know our students and our families really appreciate everything that you did, and I just wanted to thank you.
Commissioner Van Stone.
So close.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, you thought you were going to get away without me talking to you? I was waiting to the end because it's my comments are generic to cover all the programs. Okay. Now you're going to sleep. I already cleared the room. You've proven a couple of the points that I have with this data as a global comment. One is I'm a proponent of year-round school, which before people get worried about that, you actually end up with more time off because it's like a tri-semester is the thought I have. And these numbers with kids who continue education through the summer in a school setting do improve. So coming off of that, one piece of data, and this is great data, you really put this together well for us, to show the improvement year over year, that type of thing. But in the actual classroom, if a 6th grader goes to summer school, do we know by the end of 7th grade his improvement, his or her? Have we looked at that? Is it carried over for individual students to actually do better because of summer school? You showed some data that supported that.
Yeah,
But as they go through,
Yeah, the quick answer, Commissioner, is no. We haven't. We've obviously started doing this analysis with the elementary level, and we haven't upscaled it to any of the secondary levels. But maybe that's the next step for us as we move forward.
okay. Credit recovery, we got to find a way. We should. It bothers me so much that we charge the students, for that program. We really have to find a way to make that free for the students. At the time of summer, they're maybe the most important student there. We had 6 graduates. I mean, it's such an important program. And it shows that the student wants to recover and wants to get that diploma. I'm sure we had students that needed recovery of credits and walked out the door, and we probably never see them again. So we really need to, I think that's an important program. We really need to strengthen that program going forward. I love the grammar school level 1, elementary 1, because those are also kids who want to learn more. They're not there because they failed the class. They're there because they want to take on something else. And the other point that you brought up, you may not even realize it supported another thing, and that is we need to do a better job with technical education. The young man who worked for the water department, we need to get those kind of experiences for these students. College is not the only answer anymore. We need people to get back into the technical field. guess what? They're working when some college students graduate and aren't. So, we need to get back into that experience for that young student is just amazing. Where else is he going to get that if we didn't give him that opportunity? We should do more of it. We have Career Academy, but that's more engineering, health services to go onto those fields. It's not necessarily anymore that we expose our students to machine shops or carpentry or plumbing, any of the trades. And I think this one young student proved to us that it's an offering we need to do to engage our everyday students. Ones that come in at 7, go home at 2:30. We need something in that group of students to ignite something for them to go forward. So, very good presentation. You know how I love the numbers, and you had plenty of them for me to go through, and it really came good conclusions out of them. So I appreciate the way you put that data together. Thank you.
Vice President Brown.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the information. In kind of, rewinding and the identification of the students who might need the extra help during the summer, is there any way we could kind of look at, 2 months before the ending of school and do some intervention with the students? Because the numbers really are not great for the ones attending summer school. I mean, there's so many other kids who probably could benefit from it. So I'm just wondering how our intervention programs within the schools prior to the end of the school, if there was something we could do to identify them earlier and maybe beef up a tutoring program or beef up some kind of intervention before the end of school.
Is this for high school or for all grades?
Well, I'm kind of speaking generally, but I'm particularly probably interested in the middle school at this point, because then that carries on to the high school. So I just wondered if there's a way to kind of identify them earlier and think about what resources, and maybe this is for an analysis of, because it's smaller classrooms, it's hands-on, it's individual attention, it's all the wonderful things you do during summer school. So if there was a way that we could, kind of build in some kind of early intervention, and maybe, as you said, maybe it's something to do earlier in the elementary school. But we have too many kids just falling through the cracks here. I mean, the numbers are too low for the population we're serving. So I guess it's just, to be discussed and to say, how are we using our resources to really get the bang for our buck here? Thank you.
Just to add in, the elementary system has a very robust intervention system, to be honest, and it's not because I'm the superintendent, but I would say one of the best in the state of Connecticut. Okay. And that a lot of that goes back to when Jan Prentice was a math supervisor and Dina Mortensen was an ELA supervisor, and they worked. So the amount of tutors and the amount of literacy facilitators and reading teachers that we have at the elementary schools, where a lot of other districts, specifically districts our size, have gotten rid of those positions. We have kept them under our budget, so we have a pretty robust intervention system. I know the middle school teachers work in a tiered system as well. Obviously, it gets more difficult as you get up into the system. And then high school, the reason, yes, the numbers are certainly low. We talked about it last year, but just remember that we offer our high school students in our comprehensive schools 32 options for credits when they need 25 to graduate. So you get eight credits per year, times 4 is 32. There's 25 to graduate. So you have 7 opportunities to maybe not earn a credit to still graduate. And then we also have Imagine Learning that we run after schools for students to earn credits at as well. So there are lots of different supports and opportunities. And then even if a kid doesn't have 8 credits in their schedule, we've also worked with them to have a study hall where they take Imagine Learning and kind of earn a credit as well. So you might see the lower numbers, but when you get the larger report, I believe next week when I'm going to go over all the data, you can see that we're leading our DERG and graduation rates. I think we're like above the 90s now, and so we are graduating students still at a very high rate, and that's because they have so many options to earn those credits right now. But it's a good point, and we can continue to work on that. I think it all comes down to, obviously, the size of the classrooms, which means, budgeting, and also how many interventions we can put in place with the budget that's passed.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Thank
Are there any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job.
Final enrollment report, Mr. Albini.
Good evening, President Hernandez, Vice President Brown, Secretary Serrano Adorno, Board of Ed Commissioners, and Superintendent Dr. Schwartz. Thank you for this opportunity. I just wanted to, now that October 1st has passed and we have our official enrollment numbers, I'd like to go over some of those with you. That seem rather stark as far as some differences over last year. And there are quite a few numbers here, so I'll be glad to email this to you tomorrow. There's a lot of numbers here, so don't try to write them down, but there are some significant changes. So overall in the district, we're down 334 students, which is 1.8% reduction. We went from 18,644 to 18,310. On the grade level shifts, significant increases. Pre-K up 93 students, 10.5% increase. Kindergarten 120 students, 10.8% increase. So there was a strong pre-K to K transition there. Sharp decline in grade 1, minus 302 students, 21% decrease. We had some gains in grade 4, 138 students, 10.3% increase. Grade 8, 145 increase for 11%. Some of these are pretty significant. But drops in the grades 5 through 7, almost 6%. And grades 9 and 10, 6.8% to minus 8%. So high school grades 9 through 12 are down 214 students. So the high schools are a bit down with enrollment, which is 4%. High school levels, net loss 214 students, except for Waterbury Arts Magna School and Career Academy. Waterbury Arts Magna School, pretty much stagnant, increase of 9 students, and Career plus 26 students. So still relatively small increases, but those two do have increases. Middle schools, 3 grades, only 19 plus, so that was a small increase. West Side had the largest gain, 66 for almost 7% increase. Elementary schools decreased by 101 students, with Bucks Hill experiencing the largest drop with 91 students for a 17% reduction. Wow. Kennedy had a high school reduction of 110 students. Again, Bucks Hill 91, Wilby 84, Walsh 57, Crosby 51, and again, the West Side increase of 66. So you can see there's some breaks in the trends from what we've experienced over the years. So some significant ones. I will email this information to you tomorrow.
I think they have it in their
We have
backup.
it.
Oh, good.
We have it.
Okay.
We don't have the comparisons, but we have everything else. Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, Nick, this is good data, and I'm looking at Chase, and they're down from years past. There was a time when Chase had 900 kids,
Second largest elementary school in the state.
and it's now at 656. I've never seen it like at that number, ever. The other one that jumps out at me, concerns me a little bit, as much as you know, I love Career Academy. You know, we've gone through that since its opening.
That's correct.
And 215 freshmen. That sounds like it's over what we thought we were planning for we don't really have a charter for the school, but our expectations. That worries me a little bit, because if that continues, and it's, you know, over the Southmore class, it's 50 more students.
Significant. They've been under-enrolled for quite some time, Commissioner.
As a whole.
As a whole, yeah.
Because once you go there, you either stay there or go somewhere else. You don't
Correct.
come in as Southmores.
Correct.
So if that continues, that we get over 200, and they're moving to each grade, and all of a sudden we have over 1,000 students there.
No, the sweet spot there, Commissioner, if I may, is about 210 a grade level, is really the right number we want to be in. When I was there, we always brought in 210, 215. We want to get to that 840, 850.
I was going to say, it gets us almost to 900.
Yeah, it'll be under that, because you do lose some, but 840, 850 is a nice number. It helps the other high schools, because they're quite large.
No, I'm just seeing that 215, and I haven't seen an incoming class at 215 there, I don't think, in a very long time.
That is correct. You are absolutely correct, but it should be, in
Okay.
all honesty.
All right, we got to just be careful with that number.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to make it double that, we're
Correct.
just not, our planning does not support that.
Correct. Again, I think the original plans, when I was there, I think it's 840, 850 is where it should be. And you don't over-enroll, and you run overages in classes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a plan in place for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and so we can't really get up to that bigger number. We
So
have
if
to
he's
keep
at
an eye on that.
215, he can go to the 210 next
Okay.
year and
And we can
plan
support
that
it.
way. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But if we don't have that many, or the class sizes are small?
They are.
I was just going to say that.
They are. They have room for additional enrollment, let's put it that way.
Okay. Let's just stay.
The other three grades are quite low compared to the 215.
Okay. We just got to keep an eye on that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Orso.
You know, there's a decrease. I know there's a lot of movement, families, whatever. But how much does ACEs affect us at this point?
I think there are 2 grades now.
They're high schools, right?
So,
Freshmen and
yeah.
sophomores, right?
No, I mean at the high school.
The high
I
schools,
think
I think there's 2,
Commission-
yeah.
9 and 10, so they have 2 grades, so that affects it. And that's going to continue to affect it, you know.
Yeah, if I may step in, yeah, so you saw the decreases in high school enrollment, so that's part of ACES. We contributed to that. You saw the first grade lower, that's because the kindergarten age changed last year, so now you see those numbers in the first grade. And then anecdotally, we've heard that we've also lost some students based on some immigration concerns as well.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Data privacy agreement with Hill for Literacy, Inc. Jan.
Good evening again. The Reading and Language Arts Department respectfully requests the approval of a data privacy agreement between the City of Waterbury and Hill for Literacy. Waterbury Public Schools has maintained a partnership with Hill for 10 years in order to support teacher practice and develop literacy facilitators to improve literacy outcomes. As part of its continued collaboration with partner districts, Hill for Literacy is now requiring a data privacy agreement. This request is being made to ensure compliance with that new requirement.
Are there any questions? Number 6, Jan.
The Education Department respectfully
I'm sorry.
Was there a question?
Commissioner Lopez, did you have a question?
No, I was going to say we're on item 5, right?
Yeah.
So we just did
Oh, I'm
4A.
sorry.
That was added.
That was 4A was added.
4A was added.
So
So
5.
it's not in the agenda. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jan.
The Education Department respectfully requests approval to apply for the 2025-2026 Carl D. Perkins Grant. This year's allocation from the Connecticut State Department of Education is $628,213. No matching funds are required. Perkins funds are used to purchase curriculum, software, equipment, and supplies for many of our CTE courses, as well as to provide for professional learning for teachers and development of new pathways.
Are there any questions? Now, number 6. Jan.
The Education Department respectfully requests approval of Amendment 1 to the contract between the city and Savas Learning Company, LLC. In August of 2024, the city entered into a 4-year agreement with Savas Learning to provide grades 6 to 12 curriculum and assessments. The purpose of the amendment is so that grades 6 through 8 can participate in a field test of Savas's new Momentum middle of the year and end of the year tests. These new assessments will allow us to measure student growth in comprehension and vocabulary and will enhance our ability to deliver targeted Tier 2 reading interventions.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Jan.
Thanks.
Number 7, Ms. Biello is not here, so you have the information in your packet. If you have any questions, she will answer them next meeting. Item number 8, Mr. Albini.
Good evening once again. The Education Department respectfully requests your review and approval for the First Amendment to an on-call environmental service agreement for Asbestos Hazard Emergency Response Act, that's AHERA. This amendment is for a 6-month extension as well as $15,000. It will get us to the end of the school year, June 30, 2028. We have to do mid-year reports at the 6-month level, and then we have to do a yearly report on asbestos in the schools, and it makes us responsible so that if we're going to do any additions, any construction, we make sure that we contain any asbestos and we notify the state. So it keeps everyone safe in the building, students and staff.
Are there any questions?
I just have a quick question. Thank you, Nick.
Sorry.
In terms of the $15,000 additional dollars, is that out of our budget?
Correct.
So that the state didn't give us extra money to do this extra work?
That is correct.
Thank you. Okay, another unfunded mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9.
The Education Department respectfully requests your review and approval to amend the professional service agreement with Connecticut RISE Network that provides access to the RISE Network's data hub platform. This is Amendment 1. It is requesting the addition of Crosby High School to receive the same services that Wilby and Kennedy have at this point. It is a 3-year amendment. It's $14,400 per year for a total of $43,200. And it would be out of Crosby's Commissioner Network funds. And this is, provides a lot of data all in one place, one location. Student is meeting with a counselor, an administrator. They can get grades, SAT scores, log entries. You can get almost any PSAT scores, SAT scores. So it's all in one location, and you can have a real candid conversation with the student. So this is for Crosby.
Are there any questions? Okay, item number 10, Mr. Albini.
The Education Department has received 19 requests for building and school facilities use by schools, school organizations, and/or city departments, as listed in your packet, and they request Board of Education approval.
Item number 11, are there any questions? Item number 11, Mr. Albini.
The Education Department has received 2 requests for building and school facilities use by outside organizations. They are Nanawag High School for the Kennedy High School pool, Metsivta Yosadai Hatora Crosby High School pool and gymnasium. The Education Department has received 2 requests for building and school facilities used by outside organizations, and they request a waiver. That is Brass City Athletics for the West Side Gymnasium and Waterbury Ballers for the Generali Gymnasium. And thirdly, the Education Department has also received 4 requests for building and school facilities use by outside organizations, and they request a waiver as they were granted waivers in the past. That's Brass City Athletics for the Maloney Gymnasium, Catholic Academy for the Gilmartin Gymnasium, Brass City Athletics again for West Side Gymnasium, and Bridge to Success for Reed Library and Art Room, Gilmartin Library, Lobby and Community Room, the Roberto Clemente Library and Gymnasium, Wendell Cross Calf Stage Gymnasium and Art Room, and Duggan Room 211 and the Art Room.
Commissioner Orso.
So the waiver they're asking is they don't want to pay, is that correct?
That is correct.
So who pays for the custodians? We do?
We do.
Unless it's here.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Albini.
Thank you.
Item number 12, discussion 2025-26 school year calendar. Dr. Schwartz.
Thank you, President, and good evening to you all, Vice President Brown, Secretary Serrano-Adorno, and Commissioners. I just, there was a calendar mishap that went out about a month ago, and that showed a calendar that some people liked in terms of the current school year, and some people didn't like. And so I guess it was worth a discussion tonight. I have engaged, obviously, administrators, teachers unions too as well. A lot of mixed feelings on all of it. Like usually with calendars, it's never just one right answer. So what you're currently looking at, and the debate was over the winter months in January specific. So if you have your backup, if not, you could probably follow along because it's pretty easy. New Year's Eve falls on a Thursday, which means that students and teachers and staff would come back on the Friday, January 2nd. 3rd and 4th is the weekend, and then Monday is the day before Three Kings Day, so the students would come back and staff would come back for that Friday and Monday, and then they would have the 6th off on Tuesday, and then come back on the 7th. And so the discussion was prior to losing a day to the water concern earlier in the year. Was discussing that Friday and Monday. So I do have mixed reviews from staff. Some people like the idea of extending that Friday and Monday. Some people don't want to extend the end of the school year beyond 2 more days because we've already lost 1 in the summer, and the winter has not come yet. So this would be adding 3 days on to the end of the calendar right now. And then the other concerns I've heard, just to expedite this because it's come from some of you, was also the idea of going all the way to basically January 7th for elementary students, and parents' ability to be able to take all that time off because of the winter break, and then all the way to January 7th, because obviously our older students are mostly self-sufficient. But if you look at our most vulnerable students, our needy students, our high-need students, that's all the way to January 7th without breakfast and lunch at school every day, and that's also a long time for elementary students. So there's no one right answer. I know some staff would like that all the way to January 7th, and others don't want to extend the holiday. They don't want to extend the summer work. And so because there was some internal discussion, and I heard from some board members, I figured it's better to just put it out there and then, let you all discuss it, because in the end, you have the calendar vote, knowing that we're very over, and there's a very patient young children waiting for us to get there. We will also could have an opportunity to discuss this more if we go to a vote next week, but turn it over to the president at this point to see where she wants to go with it.
So do you guys want to discuss this now, or do you want to actually take a look at the calendars and hold off until our regular meeting?
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
Ask two questions. No.
Well, that was one, so now you get two, right, Rocco?
Two. Then what Rocco said, I'll ask two
Yeah.
questions. Can we look at the data to see what our attendance levels are during those 2 days before the break? So you come back
Yeah.
on the 7th, right? I
Well,
mean, the 2nd.
Yeah, so we could, but I think the uniqueness here is that the second's on a Friday.
Right.
And so I think.
In previous years, like.
Yeah, we can look at
What
it.
has attendance looked like
Yeah.
for this? Because, I mean, we're tracking truancy and all that attendance. So if
Yeah.
we're making it so, difficult for
Yeah.
parents to get back, or the kids to get back to school,
Yep.
then we should look at.
We can look at that.
Okay, if we can
I
have
can
that
bring
data for
that.
the next meeting, that's the end of my
Yeah.
discussion.
If the second was on a Monday, I would say it's probably high. Because if the second lands on a Monday, it's a natural start of the work week. If it's on a Tuesday, it's probably high. If it's Wednesday, it's probably high. Thursday, you might be pushing it. Friday, I mean, we'd have to go back 7 years, right? Or to go back to look at what our data was when it was landed on a Friday. But I can pull that data just to see what it's like. And you're right. I think that's all the concern. So it's like, can we let elementary students and our high-need students really be home that long without the support of the schools? That's one question. On the other hand, what's our absenteeism going to look like on those days? I can tell you right now that no matter what the choice is, whether you keep it, whether you change it, or whether you move it, there's going to be a section of people that don't agree with us. I can guarantee that. But I will get the data.
Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President, through you. You always grit your teeth when you call me.
We're going to discuss it next week. Remember that.
Well, I don't think it's a good thing to discuss it next week, because then we're going to vote on it. What are we going to do? Vote no? Take it off the agenda? So to do it on the night we vote, I don't think is a good idea myself. So this did come my way from a teacher with the concern, and she made some good points. But then when you said tonight about the non-educational services we provide, like breakfast and lunch, and in some cases, some sort of dinner, I'm kind of having a change of mind. And in my opinion, we should have school on the 2nd and the 5th. And I just probably well, I don't have any friends anyway, so I can't lose any. But, because then there's a Commissioner Network half-day in there as well.
Yep.
Not the whole, but our Commissioner Network's getting bigger.
Yeah.
So
we can look at that too. I mean, that could be.
I mean, it's all a factor, but I
We may as
think
well-
the outside services.
We may as well just discuss it tonight.
I think we need to,
So,
because next
let's
week it's
discuss
right.
it
Next week
tonight
it's a yes,
and get it
no,
over
or
with.
take it off the
Correct.
off the agenda, and that
Let's
doesn't help
just
Dr.
discuss it.
Schwartz. So my discussion is, I think we should keep it the way I'm looking at it right now. It's not a vote; it's a comment.
Yes. Commissioner Orso.
A couple of things. I know that you said about the breakfast and the lunch on the 2nd and the 5th. Could something be arranged like we did during COVID, where they can go to school and pick it up?
Yeah.
Because I'm also thinking about if you close the schools for those 5 days or 7 days, how much you're going to save on electricity, how much you're going to save on heat? I mean, I think you got to factor that in a little bit too.
Yeah, so it's a good question. I asked the State Department, I engaged them when when we had the food, the crisis right now. Before it happened, I engaged them the Thursday before November 1st, thinking that if SNAP benefits were reduced or eliminated, what we could do about it. And they said right now the same, so during COVID, what happened is the federal government relaxed all the regulations that Adam has to now abide by, and they're very strict, as you know, regulations in that department. All of them are currently in place and they're non-flexible. And so even in the current situation I'm in, I can't have the flexibility I had during COVID to do certain things. And so unless that changes, which I don't anticipate it, I won't be able to use our food services in that manner. But it's a good point about the, not opening of the buildings. We're going to have to keep them open at the tail end in June, obviously, and you run into other issues of heat, and again, we haven't had winter yet. So, like I said, there's no good answer here, but whatever we do, you're running up to that Friday and Monday, and you're going to have low attendance rates, I can almost guarantee it. And then on the other hand, if you run it too late into June, you got to worry about the heat, you have to worry about what our snow days are this summer, for this winter, I mean, and then also, like I said, the intangibles of what schools provide in terms of consistency for students, but also the reality of, especially our younger students, being home from December, basically 24th, all the way to January 7th, and then how parents can manage that with their own work schedules. All of those things those are things that all people have brought up to me standing in the middle, just saying this is where we stand.
Commissioner Serrano Adorno.
Thank you. Quickly, yeah, I think I was one that actually spoke to Dr. Schwartz about this. Obviously, my concern were the chronic absenteeism of the amount of people, but not even just the students, even staff. We've had issues with staff absences as well. I know celebrating Three Kings Day, for a lot of Latino community, for those that go to Puerto Rico and celebrate, they're probably going to take that long weekend or whatever the case, because that would be our Christmas. So I'm curious to see what absences are even from the 5th until the 6th, because we kind of continue that. I am aware of the concerns with the food. I'm hoping that our governor and our state reps and legislators are coming through with certain things, and I'll be praying for good results. That was my concern, not only just the absences of the students, but also of the staff was also my concern. So if we can get some of that data, but I would be okay to come back on the 7th without the food. I'm hoping that by then the food and the SNAP benefits would already maybe have taken into effect. That, just thinking of that type of the absences, if that's something that is important data that we need. Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, well, that's true.
Vice President Brown.
Like Dr. Schwartz said, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You're not going to make everybody happy. But just from our years of experience, we know the absentee rate for Friday the 2nd is going to be off the charts. They're not going to come back. The teachers aren't going to come back, and a lot of the students are not going to come back. I mean, we just know that they're not. So I guess I'm landing on, not going back to school on that Friday, at least. I mean, I would be in favor of going back on the 7th and adding days on the end, because we're not going to have big snow days. But I'm predicting no snow. No, seriously, we know that week they're not going to come. They're not going to come to school that Friday. We know that for a fact. So, I mean, I would just add the day to the end, or take it off, if we're close, take it off of one of the long spring breaks we have.
Oh, boy.
Okay, like I said, nobody's going to be happy. You started the conversation, dear, in saying that, so.
They already have their plane tickets for Florida already, so.
So, anyway, whatever anybody decides, we're not going to please everybody. But I just think that one day, though, we know they're not going to come to school.
Question.
Commissioner Orso.
We know they're not going to come to school, so let's have it as a school day. So we won't lose a school day at the end. The absenteeism, I don't know. I'd say come the 2nd and the 5th, that's what I would.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Have a school day on the 2nd and the 5th. Because at the end, it's going to be, you're going to get those schools with no air conditioning in June. It's going to be
That's
worse
true.
than
That's
now.
true.
You know, I think that's going to be a big problem.
Commissioner O'Brien?
I'm not as optimistic as Liz is with the weather this year, since La Nina is in control. How many days are we allowed at the end of the school year to add on?
Technically, school in Connecticut can go to June 30th.
Okay, thank you.
And June 30th is the last possible day for a school year.
It's come down to that a couple of times.
It's come close. I think that, yeah, I think the other thing that I heard that was floated around was similar to this week, or, and Tuesday was off, right? So come back that Monday, as it's a natural start of the work week. You get your Tuesday off, and then we're all back in business on Wednesday. So I heard that floated as well, instead of having 2 days, maybe just naturally finish it off on that Friday, since we all have that experience. And so maybe you cut it in half, and then we take off everyone. And so it's like, but that's another option I'd throw at the board, if I know, because there's no good answer here. But that could be something. I mean, this week I can look at the attendance on Monday and can give you that information about what happened this Monday. Very similar to what that week would look like, which is that Tuesday. So I'll come with some information for you. I see some nods, so we'll go.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Friday off.
what I was thinking was extend it to that Friday, like you said, and then come back on Monday, and then be off Tuesday.
Yeah.
Instead of going from the 9th to the 7th or whatever it is, at least that way, you add one day, you work one day, you're off another day.
I think that's a good compromise.
Right, and a half a day for some students the next. I think that right there kind of would work for everybody.
It's a compromise.
You get absolutely, we have to compromise. Because being in a classroom at 110 degrees in June is miserable for our students. So
I think I heard the message.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that works.
yeah. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on, because we have some children that are ready to go to bed.
Some adults, too. I will do every slide justice, but I will go quick. So you haven't called me yet.
Dr. Schwartz.
Thank you. Superintendent update tonight.
He's ready.
I feel the same way. Gil Martin Career Day was an amazing day. We were invited by Gil Martin to talk about what it is to be a leader in the community. Had a great time engaging every grade there, all the way from explaining what a superintendent does to pre-K, all the way up to the upper grades was really fun. Bob Haxey was there also talking about the mayor's department. Unfortunately, he was pulled away with a crisis in the city, but Bob represented the mayor's office to talk about what a mayor does. It was a great career day at Gil Martin. I also want to thank all of those in the Waterbury Public Schools who gave to the district-wide Pink Out Day. We were able to raise over $13,000 for Pink Out for St. Mary's to be able to support those who need additional funding to be able to get tested for breast cancer. I want to thank WAM's students for coming out and supporting this initiative. Wendell Cross, the amazing opportunity to go to Wendell Cross and speak to the students who earned a 3 or 4 on Smarter Balance last year. And I saw a special young student there I took a picture of and sent to the board president of who earned that status from Wendell Cross last year. So congratulations to all Wendell Cross students, and specifically Julius for earning that award. State Street, they got their culinary going on, you saw it, and so I, as promised, I had a bake sale, and I had them come to central office. I said, charge these suckers a lot of money. So they did, little too much, but it was good. They were charging $4 muffins, but everybody was raving about them. Everybody was raving. Even Jan, we were talking about, she's like, this is like professionally made. She's like, and not a lot of sugar, it's good. So they are going to do a pop-up sale. I think they're going to do, next time, they're going to sell some soups and do some things over, we'll get them to City Hall, kind of get some money from them over there, and then I will let you all know when that's going to happen. But I'm so happy about State Street and that culinary department. Attendance Works it's a national organization that came to visit Kingsbury School along in collaboration with the Connecticut State Department of Education to learn a little bit more about how Kingsbury is tackling chronic absenteeism. They had huge reductions last year under the leadership of Principal Sam, and they came really to learn about what we're doing here in Waterbury, again, leading the way in some of our schools in these efforts. So I want to congratulate Hannah Sam and the entire staff at Kingsbury School. Robotics Waterbury Championship. We had a competition. All 5 teams were scraping and competing and also collaborating, because that's part of robotics, is helping each other as well. And in Career Academy, one of the new teams came out as the Waterbury champions, and so congratulations to Waterbury Career Academy. Really, congratulations to all 5 teams. I mean, again, having all 5 high schools participate, we really should feel good about that. Yeah. And so excited to watch what they do next in the big event, and will be. Many of us, including some Board of Ed commissioners, district administrators, and community leaders, were able to visit the Harlem Children's Zone, the Practitioners Institute in New York, to learn a little bit more about their cradle to career strategies. I'm really excited about where that work's going to take us next. We just had a follow-up meeting this week, and really just learned a tremendous amount about how they break down the blocks into a supportive atmosphere where they're really wrapping their arms around the community, saying from cradle to career, we got your back, and we're going to support you all the way through. And some amazing data that comes out of that zone in Harlem that we can replicate here in Waterbury. So I'm looking forward to continuing those conversations and talking to the board more about that. Just want to say shout out to Crosby JROTC, who had their breakfast on October 25th. To help raise money for equipment for their upcoming competitions. And of course, our Crosby culinary students had to chip in and help make that breakfast. So I was happy to attend, and the students there did an amazing job. Also, shout out to the Mount Olive Senior Center, who had their 50th anniversary. I was able to attend that, and I was put on the spot by Monroe Webster to speak. And so when I did, I pitched this opportunity for some of our students to really lend their hands at the Senior Center. I think it would be a great opportunity to learn a little bit about the old school way of doing things, and then they can, vice versa, learn about some of the new ways. So we were talking about how the kids can help them with technology, and they can help them with some of the basic life skills that maybe we don't always get nowadays. And they love the idea, so I'm looking forward to further conversations about that. And I want to congratulate Ms. Amanda Sola, who is the leader of our SEPTO, or Special Ed Parent Teacher Organization, who was recently recognized by United Way's Impact Connecticut as an emerging leader. She's really done a fantastic job, and looking forward to helping her, who's really connected to that Mr. C's Voice organization as well. And we put her in for a nomination. The city was giving out an Extra Mile Award for anybody in any department. We put up Doreen Biolo as a nominee, and the City Hall, they selected her to win the National Extra Mile Day Award, Extra Mile Award. And we were so happy because obviously through all of the finances and all of the ESSER funding and all the grant funding and all of the Alliance grant funding that she's had to work with throughout the years, she was able to earn that award, and we had a little party for her to celebrate her.
Nice.
Close, almost there. I was able to go to Harvard. I had the honor of attending the Harvard Kennedy School's Institute of Politics, where I was able to engage with former Secretary Miguel Cardona and other leaders across the way, including former First Lady Jill Biden, who was there as well. WPS celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month, and I just wanted to give you a heads up here because we did post a video on social media, but even though we're over. I can't not play this video. It's a minute and a half, so bear with us because it will all make us smile, and then we're getting closer to the end. So go ahead, Jose, hit that video. Yeah, it's on. If you just hit the next button. There it is. As long as the sound is on. Oh, gotta turn it up. The last slide was about the food drive. I've went into that, and I'm going to remind everyone to follow us on social media. Can you turn the volume up? That's okay. So what we'll do, Jose, is I'll make sure I just send you all the video itself, but in the background as it plays, I can kind of walk you through it, but there are bands that are our own bands. This isn't just a band. This isn't just a dub over music. This is actually our bands playing at Hispanic Heritage, and you can see the different activities. That was just so awesome. Just an awesome celebration of culture, and the students and the schools are doing a better job every year of making sure we're bringing the student voice into these celebrations. And so really excited about what I saw and looking forward to doing this more in the future. That's the Bucks Hill Parade. That was wonderful. A lot of dancing. What do you think, Commissioner Serrano Adorno? Can you keep up? They're pretty good. Well, my favorite part about this one is at the end of this video, you'll see a principal. Well, you'll see at the end of this, you'll see a principal that dances across the stage that might need a lesson or two. He's better on the basketball court than he is on the skill.
Nice job.
And that completes my report. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All good.
Secretary, Superintendent's notification to the board. We can all read it alone. Can I have an adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
I'm going to give a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We are now going into our special meeting.
I move to convene in, no?
I got to start the meeting.
Oh, so we don't, gotcha, after.
Good evening. This is November the 6th, 2025, Waterbury Board of Education special meeting. We'll start out with a silent prayer. Dr. Schwartz, lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a roll call.
Vice President Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Anthony Ireland?
Present.
Commissioner LaToya Ireland? Here. Commissioner Jackson? Commissioner Lopez?
Present.
Commissioner O'Brien?
Here.
Commissioner Urso?
Here.
Commissioner Serrano Adorno?
Here.
Commissioner Van Stone?
Present.
President Hernandez?
Here. Secretary Serrano Adorno, may I have a motion?
I move to convene into executive session for discussion concerning the appointment, employment, performance, evaluation, health, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, and discussion concerning strategy and negotiations. No? That's it.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So move. We are going into executive session.
Yes, can I have you?
So you can't just put a PDF file here? Oh, okay, that's good to know.
I mean, you can send it to me ahead of time, but I can't use this in the It's not a problem. You gave it to me last minute.
Well, nobody told
Doing
me,
a
nobody told me it was this
And then
presentation.
so I spent $400. Stop working. Stop working. I haven't used it once. Come on. Spent $60 on that. It's never failed. And then the video, no one told me there was a video on that. Because we're all
But this is what
connected.
you call, you should be looking at that before the meeting starts instead of talking. He's fired.
Fine. It's my last day. Tuesday. Good morning.
I let you know, don't say I don't.
I just come over to tell Jimmy.
Tell Jimmy, I'm just messing, I'm messing.
Thank you.
We're going to meetings somewhere. I'm actually going. There's some, Juanita's been asking me for a few years, since it's their last year. It's on the Cape, at, Mystic at Marriott, but it's actual Sabre. Cardona will be speaking, will speak that morning, and then they have different workshops, so they have some. Is it? Yeah, I'm supposed to be driving her, but I'm thinking, I might want to stay and.
I'll tell you, it's great.
Yeah, I've only been there once, the old, yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Restaurants are
You want to know Nick will tell you. Oh, speaking of that, how was the Diana Ross concert? Was she? Did she?
Order of business with the record reflecting there were no votes taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So move. Item number 5, Committee on School Personnel, Commissioner Orso, appointment of Supervisor of Science.
Ladies and gentlemen, I move to approve the appointment of Lindsay Davenport as Supervisor of Science, effective upon execution of employment contract.
Second.
Discussion, Dr. Schwartz.
Thank you, President. I'm pleased to recommend Ms. Lindsay Davenport as the Science Supervisor for Waterbury Public Schools. Ms. Davenport brings over 13 years of secondary science teaching experience and 5 years as a middle school science curriculum specialist to her role as Science Supervisor. A passionate advocate for high-quality science instruction, she has led professional learning initiatives, overseen a department of 18 teachers across 2 schools, supported beginning teachers as a team mentor, and played a key role in the Southington Public Schools transition to the open SciEd curriculum. Her deep expertise in the next generation science standards, coupled with her leadership in curriculum alignment, assessment-driven instruction, and technology integration, has strengthened both teacher practice and student outcomes. Ms. Davenport is dedicated to supporting educators and ensuring that all students have access to rigorous, engaging, and inquiry-based science learning experiences. And then, pending your vote tonight, we would be more than excited to welcome Ms. Davenport to the district. Look forward to her expertise, enthusiasm, and collaborative spirit that she will bring to advancing science education for all of Waterbury students.
I just lost my train of thought. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Good evening, President Hernandez, Vice President Brown, Secretary Serrano Adorno, Board of Education Commissioners, and Superintendent Dr. Schwartz. I would like to begin by sincerely thanking you for the opportunity to serve as the Supervisor of Science for Waterbury Public Schools. It is truly an honor to be entrusted with this role, and I am both humbled and excited to continue advancing science education for Waterbury students. For the past 15 years, I have had the privilege of teaching middle school science, and for the last 5, serving as the middle school science curriculum specialist. Those experiences have shaped who I am as an educator and a leader. They have given me a deep appreciation for the incredible work our teachers do every day and the boundless curiosity and creativity our students bring to the classroom. That's my son over there. All right. When I first stepped into my own science classroom in 2011, I knew I'd found my calling, though my path to teaching wasn't a traditional one. I've always loved science, math, and working with people, which initially led me to pursue my undergraduate degree in nursing at UConn. But it wasn't until I spent a semester running group sessions in an adolescent psychiatric unit that I realized my true passion lay in teaching. Seeing how curiosity and connection could spark growth in young people changed everything for me. In many ways, the love of science was in my DNA. My mother was a science teacher and my father an engineer, so perhaps it was only natural that I would eventually find my way into the science classroom. From that moment on, I never looked back. As I step into this new role, I am committed to continuing that work, to building strong partnerships with our teachers, aligning our curriculum with the next generation science standards, and ensuring that every student has access to engaging, equitable, and high-quality science learning experiences. I believe deeply that science education has the power to transform lives, to ignite curiosity, inspire problem solving, and prepare students to be thoughtful, innovative citizens in an ever-changing world. To the Board of Education, thank you again for your trust and your confidence. I am deeply grateful for this opportunity to lead, to serve, and to continue growing alongside such a dedicated team of educators. And finally, to my family, especially my husband, my daughter Emery, my son Jackson, and my parents who are all here with me tonight, thank you for your unwavering support. I'm excited for what lies ahead and look forward to continuing this important work together. Thank you.
No, no, it's all about the kids.
She has her child, we have our Tom.
Yes.
Do we want her to introduce the family? She did. Okay. She did.
How about you let your family stand up and be recognized?
Yeah, have them stand up.
And be recognized. Yeah, okay. So I'm assuming that's grandma out there with you? All right. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Does anybody wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Tom? Tom, you got one more time. Okay. 6.1, Committee on Finance, request approval of Amendment 1 to the professional service agreement with SLR International Corporations for AHERA testing. 6.2, Committee on Finance request approval of Amendment 1 to the professional service agreement with Connecticut Rise Network, Inc. for data hub setup, configuration, and implementation for an additional school. 6.3, Committee of the Whole request approval of a data privacy agreement with Hill for Literacy Incorporated. Commissioner O'Brien, may I have a motion? Welcome back, Jackson.
I motion to approve consent calendar items 6.1 through 6.3 as read.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.